All right, random project of the day. I'm kind of excited about this one. So this is a Pit Boss pellet. I guess it's like an automatic pellet feeder or pellet fed smoker grill. From what I can tell, it's a Pit Boss 700 FB, and I found it on the curb. I have to do a little bit of cleaning, but I mean, it really doesn't look like it's been used that much. I mean, maybe once, and it got, you know, they tried to cook a pizza or something on it. It was real hot, or, you know, I don't know. Regardless, but it doesn't look like it was used that much. And I've never been one to even look at grills. I mean, most of the stuff that makes it out to the curb is, you know, probably pretty on the outside, looks real nice, and then you get up to it and it's just the insides are roached. A lot of them are propane grills or charcoal grills, and I don't really have any interest in that. I've got a nice propane grill that I love cooking with, and but I've heard a lot of good things about these pellet fed ones, and they work good as smokers, and people just seem to love them. So over the course of the past couple years, I've kind of looked around, and I just cannot bring myself to spend $1,000 on one of these things. And so it was pretty cool, I guess, to see it. When I found it, it had a cover on it, and then it came down to right here, and just like this corner got stuck, and there was just this much of it showing. I'm like, I wonder if that's one of those pellet fed ones. So I come back and take a look, and I check it out, and you know, the paint burnt off right here, but it's not rusted out, it's fine. And I checked it out, it looked like it was in pretty good shape. So I got it home. I looked up pictures. This is a bucket of mine, but I looked up pictures, and it seems like people love them. And that's the picture, I guess, is how I figured out the bucket is something that I needed. But you know, you plug it in and you turn it on, and you know, it clicks. I just turned it back off. But the main thing that's wrong with it, at least that I think is the issue, it'll be kind of hard to get down there. I'm probably going to take that piece off. So there's the crank, and you turn this on, and you can see it kind of start wanting to turn, but it doesn't. So I'm thinking it's just stuck. So I'm gonna take that thing apart and see if I can't figure out if it's just the motor that's messed up, or if it's the actual gear that's frozen in there, that big crank or cam shaft or whatever you want to call that thing. Auger, I guess, would be a good term. So I've never worked on these. I don't know really honestly anything about them, but it just kind of makes sense. That motor turns on. I found that projector too. That thing is sweet. But the motor turns on and it doesn't crank. So if I can get that to spin, I can't imagine why it wouldn't light. So let's see. All right, so from what I can tell, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the bottom. And then there's 2 screws right here, and then 2 screws on the front. So let's take those off. Oh, bummer. That one's stuck. I'll get a flat bladed screwdriver, see if we can't get that out. And then these screws Now this will hold itself on there from what I can tell. It's like a slope going up that this whole thing kind of sets on. It should stay. Let me get a flat bladed screwdriver. Got one of these 6-in-1 screwdrivers. You get them at Harbor Freight on sale sometimes. They are awesome. Got like 10 of them. Ooh. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna get that one out. Ooh. Nope, I'm gonna have to cut it. But maybe this thing wants to fall off anyways. Kind of seems like it does. But I gotta get that off first, so maybe I'll put one of these screws back in just to hold it. So it's not quite designed like I thought it was. So if yours only has 4 screws on the bottom, it's important to get them all off. So give me a second. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get it off, but I'll show you what I do. All right, it's pretty messed up, so I'm gonna have to grind it off. I could drill it, but we're just gonna grind it. There we go. I hate doing that, but that's about the only option I really got. All right, there's just a little stub. I'll hit that with some paint just so it doesn't rust out in the future. I would like to get this out so I could put a different screw in there. Just a little bit of it sticking out. I'm sure all the heat got it loose, which it did. So, not ideal, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, and that's unfortunately what I had to do. So, let's take this off. Get something. It doesn't look like this wants to fall all the way out. Don't need to take that screw off. All right. Obviously, you want to make sure you're not doing this while it's plugged in. But here's what we got. So, this little motor is what spins this shaft right here that is connected to that. Seems pretty tight. So I'm gonna take this out. Looks like there's a collar with a little Phillips head. So start by, I'll probably start by getting that one out. Looks like it's an Allen and a nut on the bottom. So let me grab some tools for that, and we'll see if this all comes apart easy. I doubt it will, but a guy can dream, right? All right, not 100% sure on the size of that nut. It's really hard to get to. But this Allen key is 3/32, and that seems to fit in there pretty good. So that's the Allen. And I'm using an 8mm on the bottom. Again, doesn't really make a lot of sense there, but it seems to fit. And we'll just kind of, hopefully, just slowly back it out. Sometimes it's a little easier with a pair of pliers up here, but cheap just to save my fingers. It's not super hard, but it's hard enough. This is going to be fun getting back on, I'll tell you that. Got it. So there's that. Just kind of wiggle it side to side and pull up at the same time, and you'll get it out. That just falls right out. Now that little nut on the side. Guessing this will just kind of come out. It looks like it's just a sleeve that helps it stay straight. Yep. Yeah, it seems to be stuck. Now you gotta be, I assume, this isn't gonna be super durable. Yeah, I'm guessing something's stuck. It got wet. Because it's not threaded in there, but it doesn't want to come out unless I twist. Pretty clean. Ooh. I don't know if I'm gonna be very organized and catching it or not. I guess, see, all that looks burnt and it was stuck, so wondering if I just kind of thread this in, grab some more. I think I'm just gonna have to deal with that mess. Got it. Whoop. So, got that cleaned out. That kind of pushed up to the front, so I'll just leave that in there, but I think I'll get my air compressor hose out, blast out anything that's in there. Not 100% sure what the best way of cleaning this out is going to be, but sorry. Some of that stuff to fall out. All right, sorry, that was too hard to do just myself, but I got everything cleaned out of there, so that's good. I mean, this really looks pretty clean, but I think I will probably just get some light sandpaper or maybe even my wire wheel and just kind of clean up some of this grunge, because I know this, I mean, this motor that feeds this thing is not very big. I'm sure it's probably got a lot of gears behind it that give it some good torque, but you know, all of this creates drag. So I think I will buff that up a little bit, and then we'll try putting this thing back together, see if that fixes it. Compared to how rough it is on that, that's what we're trying to get rid of. There, the ridge is nice and shiny all the way around it, and that's kind of what we're shooting for. That way it doesn't get hung up. Now granted, the inside of that's not going to be super duper clean, but this will at least help. So let's try to put it back together. Yeah, that's awesome. That's way better. I couldn't even get that to move earlier. So definitely an improvement. All right, so this collar goes back on with the screw going in there. Get that all lined up. Apparently easier said than done on that run. Doesn't have to be super tight. All right, so I guess you're kind of at the mercy of the angle of this thing, unless you can kind of turn it, which that's not going to go. So I feel like it's supposed to sit like that, wouldn't it? I mean, otherwise this is almost impossible to get that to go on, but then it goes on real easy like that. This looks like it's all bent. So I wonder if I bend that back up and I try to put it the way it was. I wonder if it got that bound up that it even bent this whole plate. That's going a little further than it was, but I gotta think that it would be like that. Kind of surprised they don't have like a strap or something that holds that thing down. All right, so you take your Allen head and this little 8mm nut, or whatever the equivalent to standard is for that. Shoot, I mean, that shaft felt like it was pretty stuck, but now that I'm thinking about it, with that little motor being basically upside down, or basically flipped on its top, I'm wondering if that, because of the angle it was at, wasn't binding it up too. I mean, because if this thing is sitting at a crazy angle, see how this is lower on here, and it's longer this way than it is this way. So if this whole thing flipped up like that, this would have had to been at a crazy angle, so it could have just been bound up on itself right there. I don't know. I mean, I've never worked on one and I didn't build it, but just a guess. Let's keep going. All right, so all them things are put back together. Like I said, I'm gonna just try to give that thing something to sit on. Whole plate looks like it's bent. So this ain't gonna be perfect by any means, but give it a fighting chance anyhow, hopefully. Wish I'd have done a better job. I didn't realize there was a brace right there. Helped a little. All right, before we go crazy here, plug it in. Let's see, we'll just turn it on the lowest setting just to see what it does. All right, so the fan works down here. Let's see if that, yeah, it's turning. Man, I think we're in business. Awesome. But it's still got to light it on fire, so let me get this put back together before we really go crazy and see if it'll catch on fire in a good way. All right, the ones on the bottom don't have washers, the ones on the side do. Forgot to put my washer on this one. Gotta be careful using these impacts sometimes. I always like to go back, hear that click. That's the threads bouncing off the starting point. So once you hear that, then you can go ahead and run it in. But if you just get on there and go crazy, you'll get yourself in trouble. Boy, I've made a mess here. I better paint that, huh? All right, painted, here we go. Eek. Goodness. Just having terrible luck with this. There we go. Oh, bummer. Well, anyways. There, it's put back together. So, I don't really know if I care about having this giant grate here. I mean, I guess it keeps my kids from sticking their fingers down there, but I don't know. Who cares? So let's plug it in. ERP. No idea what any of that means. 200, 225, 250. Yep, see it's in there moving. Kind of hard to tell, but it is. So now I guess we'll see. I need to go get some pellets and we'll see if it lights it on fire. Well, there's your answer. I let it go for about 5 minutes with just the pellets that were in there. And that's a success. So free grill, $0 except for the pellets I have to buy to cook food with. Awesome. All right, is the moment of truth. We are going to give this thing a shot. I bought my pellets and we're gonna fill her up, try to cook some pork chops on it. Wish me luck. I feel so cool. It's working. Yes. And it was free. All I had to do was work on it.